Hey, fantasy football fans, want to gain a last-minute advantage over the teams you play this week? Don't forget to check out Ken Zales' Fantasy Football Notebook on PressBoxOnline.com, presented by Chesapeake Urology Associates. Welcome back to Inside PressBox. Before we talk to Joe Platania, let's take a look at our Yuengling Lager photo of the week. Taste the quality of the 180 years of family-owned and operated tradition brews into every single bottle. PressBox photographer Sabina Moran snapped this shot of RG3 last weekend. It was a pretty game that turned ugly and turned the Ravens' attractive record into one that isn't looking nearly as good. The Redskins rallied from a fourth quarter deficit with an 85-yard, 13-play drive to tie the game and got a big punt return to pull out a 31-28 overtime win. You can read all about the Ravens with Joe Platania's Ravens Report at PressBoxOnline.com.
This is an opportunity for us to try to win some football games, you know, and try to be the best football team we can be, you know, and that's the absolute reality of it. So anything else is just something else. What it boils down to and what's important is going out there at 1 o'clock on Sunday and playing the best football game we can play, and then the game after that, the game after that, and the game after that, and try to be as good as we can be over the next month. That is what it is, and to me, that's the only priority that matters. You know, it's long-term considerations are long-term considerations, and that's not in the forefront of our mind right now.
All right, of course, that was Ravens head coach John Harbaugh talking to the media earlier this week about the recent change in the Ravens coaching staff. With me now to talk about it is our Ravens beat writer, Joe Platania. Joe, do you agree with what it was that John Harbaugh was saying there, and what exactly was he saying there?
John Harbaugh was being himself, is basically what it is. He's got this earnestness, this tunnel vision about him, the one game at a time mindset that most football coaches are going to have. You just don't see beyond the next game, whether things are going well or whether they're going poorly. This is just how football coaches act and react to the situations that present themselves, albeit this one was a rather drastic one when you fire an offensive coordinator with 3 games to go in the season. You
know, it's interesting, and I'll have a commentary a little bit later on in the program, but I think a lot of us felt that this was going to happen eventually. We just didn't anticipate it happening. I mean, historically, not Ravens history, but can you remember anything like this in the league where a team that had a 9-4 record would make such a substantive change this late in the season?
Not this late in the season, no. I mean, we remember the San Diego Chargers firing Marty Schottenheimer as their head coach after a 14-2 season, but just the same. It was after the season. It was after everything, all the water had gone under the bridge. Something at this crucial point of the season in December, where the Ravens are traditionally pretty strong. They haven't lost their first 2 December games in 5 years, and to throw this kind of layer of adversity on top of it, if you want to call it adversity, yeah, it's kind of strange.
Joe, you've been around the team for the entire history of the franchise, but you're around this coach, you're around Cam Cameron, you're around Joe Flacco. We all know what we read in the media reports, that the two didn't get along that well. Can you quantify that for us at all? I mean, was it an out-and-out friction? They hated each other's guts, or they just didn't see eye to eye?
I think both parts of your comment are true. Maybe in the beginning, maybe a good first impression wasn't made, and maybe there was heavy friction early on, I think, as they got to work together and grow together. Maybe it just turned into this sort of little bitter little nagging resentment maybe that there was between them. We do know that Cam was kind of a bit of a control freak. He didn't seem to listen very well to people around him. And as I said to a civic group just the other night, I mean, one of the basic tenets you have in a household or in a coworker situation with your family, you have to be able to listen. And I guess in the end, that was Cam Cameron's undoing.
Staggering news. Now, let's go to the guy that's taking his place. We know he was an assistant under Tony Dungy as way back as in Tampa, okay? We know that he was the head coach at Wake Forest for a time, and then he became an assistant to Tony Dungy in Indianapolis and became his quarterback coach in Indianapolis. Has he ever really called the plays of the game? Do we make too much about questioning that?
I think it's important to bring up, and no, at this level, Jim Caldwell has not been a play caller, but he's got enough guys on this staff where I think they've got enough coordinator experience at the pro and college levels where I think he can be eased into the situation. He has finally indicated that he's probably going to be up in the booth along with Dean Pease. I think that's the first time in Ravens history you're going to have both coordinators upstairs. Usually one of them, usually the defensive guy, is downstairs. But you're going to have him upstairs, away from the chaos, working with Jim Hostler, who was the 49ers offensive coordinator in 2007. A valuable bit of experience there, even though it didn't work out for him very well. So he's got enough minds around him where I think he'll be able to assimilate.
Before we take a break, we got about 25 seconds. Do you think this will change Joe Flacco at all? Maybe not how he plays the game, but how he is responding to teammates and his sort of mindset for the game.
Joe Flacco doesn't change much, inwardly or outwardly. He's worked with Caldwell all year. I don't sense any real change there except the Cameron buffer's gone.
All right. That's Joe Platania. When we return, I'm going to talk to Joe about the game coming up this week, and I'll also have a commentary a little bit later on the show, so don't go away. Inside PressBox is brought to you in part by Glen Burnie Transmissions, your dealer alternative for transmission repairs. Save hundreds of dollars off dealer prices. Financing and free towing are available. Call Market GBT today and ask for the PressBox special for more savings.